Traveling to Consciousness, exploring spiritual journeys to find answers in uncertainty.
What is up, conscious monkeys? Welcome back to another episode of Traveling to Consciousness. As always, I'm your host, Clayton Cuteri. And more absolutely depressing news that I get to share with you. The absolute insanity of all of this, I don't know. I don't know how it finds a way to not cease in amazing me. It doesn't, like, I don't know how to put it into words. Like, it's almost like our government wants to give us the middle finger at every single turn that they can. Like, that's the best way that I can articulate what I'm about to relay to you. And it just absolutely blows my mind that we have not woken up out of this hypnosis that these people have put us under, to think that if it's the Democrats in, we're going to do better. If it's the Republicans in, we're going to do better. That's not the case. It clearly isn't the case. And it's allocated, good choice word there, by this new breaking news about 10 hours ago that I'm going to share with you. And that is that the United States is going to send another $425 million in weapons to Ukraine. $425 million in weaponry that will be used to kill our brothers and sisters, because the way I see it, we're all one race, we're all one human. They're going to send another $425 million to Ukraine. The insanity. Because right now, we have American brothers and sisters who are still trying to recover from the hurricane. All the hurricane victims should be getting that money directly. And yet we're just going to sit here and say, oh, well, Putin bad. It's like, when are we going to stop fixating on the negative? When are we going to start fixating on the positive of helping each other? These senseless wars have to end. First of all, they're unsustainable from a monetary perspective, from a life perspective, everything. From any perspective, they're unsustainable. But just from a human decency perspective, from that perspective, it is unsustainable. Because once we connect with our inner eye, with our heart, with whatever you want to articulate it to be, with our soul, it hurts 10 times more realizing that this $425 million is going to Ukraine. And here's the crazy thing too, right? Is people even want to just be like, oh, it's our taxpayer money, which is at one level true, but at a deeper layer, this is going to cause inflation for all of us. Every time the government prints off money, that's when inflation goes up. It's pure dilution. They're diluting the pool. You make $7 an hour and they throw in 100 billion more dollars. Your $7 an hour becomes a lot less, a lot less. It's a big reason we should strongly consider going back to the gold standard, maybe a Bitcoin standard. I haven't fully gotten into that or dove deep enough into that, but that is a dear necessity to prevent inflation. And another thing that's a dear necessity to prevent inflation is sending billions, and in the Middle East, trillions of dollars in weaponry to kill innocent people. People who don't want to be a part of that war. People who are just doing it because it's the orders and they get paid and get money in order to do it because it's their livelihood. And yet these hurricane victims get $750. How is it that we're able to just magically print money for foreign countries who are going to war to kill people? Think about that, to kill people. And yet to help rebuild our infrastructure, which is abysmal, let's be honest about it. If you go over to Europe or you go, and theirs isn't, theirs is upgraded, but it's not like modern. I'm saying look, when people had visions of 2030, They essentially had visions of what like Tesla's doing right now in terms of cars. And, we can argue whether or not there's a net positive there or not. But the point still remains that we should be having bullet trains across our entire country. And quite frankly, I think it's feasible. We should be having a train. I haven't talked about this publicly, but I came across this report I saw it. I forget how it came to it, but we should have a train. Okay. I'm going to put this out there right now. I've never talked about this before, but we should have a train that starts in New York. Maybe it goes up to Maine, but at least starts in New York, goes through Chicago, goes from Chicago to Seattle, goes all the way up through Canada, can go through Alaska, and then connects to Russia, goes through Moscow, and then it can connect all the way to Paris. I mean, guys, the things that we could accomplish as a human race, if we just put aside our differences and focused on the common goal of making the world a better place, would be absolutely tremendous. It would be mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. But instead of helping our American citizens, our American people first, we send $425 million in weapons to Ukraine. Make it make sense to me, guys. I mean, I'm losing my mind at this point. I mean, that's being a little bit dramatic there. I get why it's happening. It's because that's who pays them. That's who their pockets are in. They just see us, the common man, as just ants that they can walk all over. Oh, thanks for your money. Yeah. Make sure you remember to pay your taxes, because it's super important, because otherwise we can't just keep printing money, which they do, and we go deeper into debt, and they just act like it's this snowball thing that's just, we shouldn't even worry about. Meanwhile, there are people out there putting their name, their name in the hat, their name in the ring, with ideas like building a train from New York to Moscow to Paris. Like, could you imagine? And I mean, that's just throughout the entire world. That's an entire world connected by a train. And of course, we can expand that out, have it go down to Egypt, go through Africa. Could you imagine being able to see the entire world just by a train? We can get there. And here's the thing, is that we absolutely can get there. But it's going to take people to want that reality. It's going to take us becoming powerful, becoming more knowledgeable. Helping each other. Taking care of people that are in need. Wanting to leave this world better than what we found it. We have to want to leave this world better than what we found it. And I don't know. I don't see any current leaders that want to leave this world better than the way we found it. I don't. There's some, but they're few and far between, and there's not enough of them. So we need more people. We need people like you listening to this podcast who my words connect with. We need you to share this podcast. I need you to share this podcast. The world needs you to share this podcast. Because I can't do this alone. Can have all the greatest ideas in the world, but if we don't work together, if we don't promote the same vision, the same future of unity, of balance, of harmony, it's not going to happen, guys. It's just not. So you got to figure out is like, what can you do to be maybe 1% better, a little bit better? Maybe it's completely unrelated to world peace. Maybe there's someone you need to cut out of your life. Maybe there's, I don't know, maybe there's a room that you could clean up in your house. It could be the smallest thing in the freaking world. Maybe you just need to move your pencil. Maybe you need to clean up your desk. Maybe you need to clean up your bedroom. Maybe you need to make your bed. But the chain reaction, the ripple effect that has on you and the world around you cannot be underestimated. It cannot be underestimated, because the momentum that you start to gain by making small micro improvements compounds over time, and things become very powerful very quickly for you and for everyone. This is why we have to put other people before ourselves. This is why we need to start caring. This is why we need to invest money in helping people, not killing people. I have no quarrels with Russia or Ukraine. None. I know I've met many Russians, many Ukrainians, all great people. All of them are great. And yet we get somehow psyoped into believing that we should kill their family and their friends and their husbands and wives and children, their sons and daughters. I mean, and it's not even that. I saw somewhere that's like 75 to 80% of Americans don't even want to be funding these foreign wars anymore. And yet somehow we get brainwashed into believing that if we just vote for this side or that side, the Republicans or the Democrats will make it happen. Well, guess what? The only bills that are making it through are being voted on by both parties. So for all intents and purposes, it is a one-party system that I am looking at right now. And there is no representation. None. Because if there was representation, they would not be sending this amount of money, the billions and trillions of dollars, to war. Because we don't want it. The American people do not want it. 75 to 80% of people agree on something out of 300 and however many million, 380 million. I don't remember the total count, but there's 400 million. And yet 80% of us do not support the war. Where's the representation? How are we the people being represented in Congress? The short answer is we're not. You're not. Oh, well, he's not as bad as that guy, or she's not as bad as him. Democrats are better than the Republicans. The Republicans aren't as bad. We have to drop this. It's a one-party system right now. We have the illusion of two choices, but it's not real. Even that's not real. And it breaks my heart. And I just hope that more people can wake up to this. How many more millions of dollars do we have to send before we realize that neither the Republicans or Democrats are coming to save us? That we need to find other options. And this is where the American Congress Party comes in. And it's just common sense ideas that we're implementing. Common sense, right? Protect innocent lives. No innocents. Protect them. Children must be saved. Stop all wars. Prevent nuclear war. Nuclear disarmament around the world has to happen. Non-chemical food. Free non-chemical food. Stop poisoning the food and water supply. Like, are these not options that 95% of people agree upon? Upgrade our education system. Because right now we're being taught slavery education. And what I'm learning and what I've been learning and many, many intelligent people around me have been learning is indigo education. So we need to get that education to the people. People need to be aware of that. They must be aware of that. They need to learn. They have to have the option to be aware of that. If you want to be a slave, choose the current public school system. You have to sit in rows. You don't get to talk. You have to raise your hand if you want to ask a question. You don't get to just ask a question. You have to ask permission to leave the room. You have to sit in a chair and don't talk for 45 minutes and then go to another room, sit in a chair, don't talk for 45 minutes. And if you're good, we'll give you 30 minutes of recess. You get to run around for 30 minutes. I think we spend probably like 95% of our time indoors when we're creatures that are made to be 95% of the time outdoors. Our education system has created slaves. Mentally, and the illusion of being free has been shoved down our throats for so long, yet we are all slaves to our mind with the impossible nature to break free of it. But you can break free with it with a correct education. Education of knowing that you are a piece of source, a piece of God, a piece of nature, a piece of spirit, and you have incredible powers that lie within you. But we have been lied to about our history. We've been lied to about our power. And we have been made to be in fear, to not uncover our power. How many movies, Harry Potter's a perfect example. Someone who thinks they're an ordinary person, just thinks they're ordinary, right? Nothing special about me. I'll probably go my whole life and do nothing. And then something happens. He finds out he's a wizard. He finds out that he's a secret god, if you will. He finds out that he has insane powers more than the mortal man. Why are we so drawn to that ethos? Ethos isn't the right word. Why are we so drawn to that storyline? To that paradigm, to those words, to that energy, to that feeling? The answer is so simple. It's because that energy is within you. You are Harry Potter. The education system, the world around us, the poisoning of food, the poisoning of water, the lack of education, if you will, the fear. If you don't pay your debts, this is going to happen. Creating war in foreign countries, that's fear. All of this is to keep you from realizing that you are that wizard. You have that power within you. It exists in every single one of us. It would not be possible for you to understand the words I'm saying if you did not have it. And if you believe anything less than that, you are being sucked in to that matrix, if you will, that lower consciousness, lower vibration matrix. And it's okay. It's okay. Hey, look, I get it. It's okay. It's difficult. Those thoughts will come to you. I completely understand. I'm not, going to sit here and tell you otherwise. I totally get it. Totally get it. 100% totally get it. I've been there myself. I think everything I'm saying, if you would have put this podcast in my ear 5 years ago, I would have been like, huh, yeah, okay, I'm awake. I get it. But the depth, I'm at a point now where I feel like I'm just scratching the surface of how much more knowledge there is to learn. And we as a people have to demand more from our elected officials. We have to. And we can do it peacefully. There is a peaceful way to go about this. But it starts with wanting to do it, not being afraid. Don't be afraid. And I know that's easier said than done. I know that is easier said than done. But as you start to pick up your life, as you start to put pieces in place, you will very quickly realize that you are that divine spark of God. That divine spark lives within you. And you'll see it in everybody you interact with. And it will bring you joy and happiness. And it will make the world a better place. Maybe you won't do anything crazy with your life. I don't know. I don't know. I think everyone will. If you start taking this advice and doing it, you will. But let's say worst case scenario, you just smile more. You still work the same 9 to 5 the rest of your life, but you just smile more. That is so incredibly powerful. You have no idea. You could be walking by someone smiling and they look at you and think, huh, I should smile more. And then maybe they go on and do something fantastic with their life that they would never have done because they started smiling more as well. So reduce the stress in your life. And I know it's there. It's the whole system set up to do it. Create the programs of war. Create the programs of inflation to make people stressed about their money so that they don't know what to do. So it freaks them out. So then we're still in control because we can brainwash them through the media. It's not your fault. It's their fault. It's not his fault. It's their fault. The elites have ruled this world for far too long. It's time for the common man to be in control, to be in power, to be the one who gets to set the stage for the direction and where we go with our lives, where humanity goes. My gosh, the amount of money that we have wasted on war in the last century even. We could probably build 10 trains stretching from New York to Moscow to Paris. The real question is why don't we do it? It's there. The physical land is there. The idea exists in the ether. And what an incredible achievement for mankind it would be to say that we were a part of creating a bullet train that connected every single continent, except for Antarctica. Sorry, Antarctica. Every single continent of the world. Could you imagine that? You want to talk about the future? Like, that's something that we should be seeing in the future. World peace, clean food. Why can't we just walk outside and just pick berries off a tree? Why can't we just find an apple tree and eat it? Instead, we have to get this poisoned garbage through the grocery store. Well, I don't know. I mean, the honest answer is I don't know. Maybe that was my divine purpose to be here. I don't have the answer for you all. All I can say is that I have to put my ring in the hat in the ring. My ring in the hat. I don't know why I keep trying to say that, but I have to put my hat in the ring. I have to try. I mean, because what else are we doing here? I mean, I'm taking care of myself financially, but like from a place of service, you know, I've gotten to a point in my life where everything's good, calm, structured. The only issue now that I see is that the government is messing everything up for everyone else. So what other option is there? Turn a blind eye, say it's not my problem, walk away, or pick up the reins. Be in control. Be a voice for the voiceless. Because this path we're headed on, it's not a pretty one. So I hope that, you know, you guys can do something too. I don't know what it is. Maybe the best thing you can do after listening to this podcast is pick up your room. Pick up some pens off your couch. Maybe you got to throw out some garbage. Maybe you got to tidy up your office. Maybe you got to tidy up your car wherever you're listening to this podcast. Just leave it a little bit better. And that energy will compound on itself. And then we'll get to a point where we have world peace. But it's going to take every single one of us. Every single one of us. Every single one of us. So it's possible. That's the other thing that we really need to focus on, is that it's possible. I think there's been a lot of programming around. Things always just get worse, and they're always going to be getting worse forever and ever and ever. You got to abandon that programming. Because in my life, everything's been getting better, and better. I got asked recently, and I say this humbly, but hopefully as like a words of encouragement, is that I was asked recently, like, when was my favorite year in my life? And every time I'm asked that question, I realize that it was just like last year, the most recent year. When was the best month of my last life? It was the last one. And hopefully that comes across as like from a place of optimism, because it's possible. But the reason that people can't see it, or they can't put themselves in that way to make that their reality, is they either don't have proper knowledge, they're poisoned from the food, and so their body can't handle it. They're too worried about finances. They're worried about war. They're worried. But it's okay. We're going to fix the education system. We're going to fix the education system. We're going to fix the bodies. We're going to clean the water. We're going to clean the air. And we're all going to do it together. It's not just me. I need your help. I need you guys. Even if it's as little as sharing this podcast with 1, 2, 3 other people, that's how that ripple effect occurs. Even share it with skepticism. Hey, I don't know about this Clayton guy. He sounds like he might be a little off his rocker. What do you think? Start the conversation. Maybe this sounds absolutely crazy to you. Maybe it does. But what if? What if it is crazy? And what if this is the type of thinking we need if we're going to get out of this downward spiral that humanity has been on for what seems like the last 5,000 years? What if this is the little seed that needs to be planted to create a tree that will feed and nourish all of humanity? What if just by sharing this podcast, it creates that ripple effect that Clayton gets connected with someone who then they get connected and make a better Pittsburgh because of it, a better Pennsylvania because of it, a better United States because of it, a better world because of it? What if? I know there's a lot of doubts. People have many doubts. And I'm not telling you to abandon doubts. Doubts are important. Believe in the physical is what I'm trying to say. And in order to believe in the physical, you do need to have doubts. Well, what if this or what if that? That's fine. But be constructive doubts. Doubt the reality that I'm promoting here. Think about it. Okay, if we're going to have world peace, what happens? How do we get there from where we are now? Walk it backwards. Go backwards from world peace to where we are now. And you can have the what ifs, have the doubts. Think it through. But I'm telling you, we don't have any other options. And I don't say that as like a doom and gloom. I mean, I guess that's an angle, but like, we're going to do it. Like, I'm very optimistic that it is going to happen. We just have to wake up. We have to open our eyes. We have to be calm. We have to make smart decisions out of love and not out of fear. Because the more decisions that we can make out of love and connectivity and unity and balance and harmony, the quicker that our world is going to evolve into something far beyond anything I can explain in the physical. It's going to be beautiful. I hope you guys are ready for that. So please don't be sucked in. Election day is coming up. And I know maybe it's not enough time to make a difference, but even if it's just half of you that say, you know what, I'm not voting for any Democrats or any Republicans. I'm going to do research, find some third-party candidates to vote for. It starts the trickle effect. It starts a chain reaction that will be so powerful that the one-party system will have no idea what hit them. Because American Congress Party doesn't have everyone in every state, but I do know that there are going to be third-party candidates in any district that you're voting. Maybe you think, I'll do it, but it's not going to change the world. You'll be surprised. You'll be very surprised how quickly it changes the world. Very surprised. So I'm starting to run a little longer than usual. Just know that I appreciate you guys. Please share this podcast. And if you don't share this podcast, we're going to have a talk about it whenever I see you in the sixth dimension.